Amazing beautiful people, welcome back to another solo leveling cut content reaction video. So I've literally had you guys spamming these ones like constantly in the comment section. So basically the reason I haven't done this one earlier is because I went away on holiday. So when these were, well, not holiday, we're looking for properties. So it was like the most crazy and hectic holiday I've ever had, but either way I wasn't here. I wasn't in this room, I wasn't in this house, I wasn't able to record these reactions, but now I am back, I can do that. And there's already episode 9 out as well, so I'll do the second part of episode 8 today, and then I will do episode 9 probably in 2 days. So just so you guys know, press that like button, press that subscribe button. Without more talking for me, let's just jump into this one. Let's jump into Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 8, Part 2, Cut Content. Actually, also, I forgot, shout out AniNews, they made these videos, link to their channel in the description. Now let's go.
Depending on whether you're watching the anime, reading the manhwa, or reading the novel, all three will present the Jedu Island arc somewhat differently. Each depiction villainizes Japan to varying degrees, where if it's the
Also, I just want to point out, I have not rewatched the trailer. Apparently they've changed something. I don't know what it is. Obviously, I'm an anime-only viewer, so I have no idea what they've changed. But apparently people were like, oh, they've changed something. But I didn't want to look into what they've changed. And the other thing I wanted to say was I haven't watched the trailer for the Jeju Island arc that just came out. I don't want spoilers. People recommend me to react to trailers all the time. I would rather go into these reactions blind than the trailer reactions would do crazy well for views. But I'd rather, for like selfish reasons, go into it blind because I don't want any spoilers from the trailer.
Novel, you get some borderline supervillain stuff. The manhwa is a more toned down version of it, and I expect the anime to barely mention it at all. The nature of this cut content does relate to characters and concepts that will show up later though, so for those I'll flash a minor spoiler alert on the screen beforehand. Since they are topics the anime should have introduced already though, I definitely think it's important to be aware of them. Especially since some have a direct hand in dictating the way the plot is going now.
Okay.
So, while yes, technically some of this is spoilers, they're not the type which will ruin the show for you.
Okay.
In fact, I'd actually argue they serve to enhance it. Once again, not all of this is spoilers though, so for the parts that are, I'll include timestamps with the spoiler alert.
Alright.
Now, just bear.
I'm gonna skip over all the spoiler parts, just to be safe.
Last video I unveiled my new collection of solo leveling inspired shirts, so in case you missed it, here it is again.
There it is again.
We got the strongest tee returning in shirt and hoodie form, then the...
I didn't include these last time because I wasn't sure if they were AniNews or someone else or a sponsor part, but I think these are actually AniNews, and if you want to support AniNews, you can go get yourself some of these. So click the link to his video in the description, and you can head on over to his video description and pick up some of his merch if you want to support his channel. I'll leave all this in.
Igris's and Iron's iconic weapons. You can get all three at a discount when you buy them together, so be sure to check that out using the link down in the description.
Boom.
They'll only be available for about 3 weeks or so. So, if you want to support the channel and get some high quality streetwear in return, I promise this is clothing you won't be disappointed in.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks like a nice quality heavy duty shirt.
Let's start things off with the carnage at this remote island, since the events here are more than just a grave premonition of what awaits these countries.
That guy was missing arms.
The behavior of the ant was actually shown to be quite intelligent, since unlike my teammates in Marvel Rivals, it knew to focus the weakest hunters first. With 108 of them actively chasing it, it methodically eliminated the E-ranks first to decrease their numbers, then got rid of the healers in order to weaken them. It was a level of intelligence that indicated the ant knew what situations would put it at an advantage and disadvantage.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And the thing is, if all of these ants have the same, like, just, you know, kill... Wait, what was the mantra of the monsters before? Wasn't it, like, protect the dungeon? Doesn't that kind of, like, make dungeon breaks a bit suspicious? Like, what's the voice inside of the ant's head? Like, what are they hearing? Also, when I watched the reaction, I mentioned how crazy it was how many hunters were sent after this one ant, and people were saying it's not that crazy. For me, as an anime-only viewer, I haven't been given any extra information. It did seem crazy that many hunters were sent after it, but when you consider how hard it might have been to pin it down, it's not that crazy, you know? Like, because it's a flying fucking ant.
Indicated the ant knew what situations would put it at an advantage and disadvantage. Luckily, a dashcam was able to get footage for the Hunter Association, so in Korea they weren't entirely in the dark with regards to what they were dealing with. Now, you may think 108 hunters was excessive for a single A-rank monster, but considering its ability to sense danger and adapt, Japan believed their response was the appropriate one. I mean, even with all that, they still took on casualties anyway. So, with Japan possessing one of the most well-organized systems with regards to its network of hunters, the fact it suffered so many casualties meant any other country would likely end up worse from a crisis like this.
Wait, Japan?
Combine that with the numerous islands Korea had off their coast just like Japan, and the association knew they were in trouble. They simply weren't capable of monitoring every island like how Japan was. Their country just didn't have enough.
I'm a little bit confused about that whole thing. He said like Japan struggled with it. Were Japan in charge of the previous raids then? Can someone let me know there? I'm a little bit confused.
Of hunters. Plus, with this ant having flown 150 kilometers just to get here, that meant it could easily make it to the mainland too. The islands weren't the only areas in danger anymore. This put Chairman Go into quite the tough situation, since when he considered what countries might come to their aid, there wasn't a single one that came to mind. China and Russia were actually the most likely, but even with their plentitude of hunters to spare, the amount of land they needed to protect made it difficult to justify it. America had refused to help in all the raids before, so it was more than likely they'd do the same again. There was, however, an independent who requested to come out and help regardless, and that would be Hwang Dong-soo. As Mr. Woo would inform Chairman Go, he was very intent on participating in this raid. Of course,
I have a funny feeling that guy wants to participate in this raid. Yeah, that was English. For naughty reasons. For naughty reasons. I don't think he's there to help.
Of course, both the Chairman and Woo knew it was
something about, just something. I may be wrong, but that'll be my guess.
To target Sung, so without...
Okay, but if I just let it play.
This raid. Of course, both the Chairman and Woo knew it was to target Sung, so without even being told to do so, Woo had already denied Hwang's request and barred his entry into the country.
Just let him in, man. He'd get one-shotted by Sung
as an excuse to justify it. Hwang wasn't the only person who tried to get in contact, though, as another party expressed interest in meeting as well. Who might that be? Well, he's one of 5 hunters the world likes to classify as a national-level hunter.
I cannot wait to meet the other 4. If he's one of 5 hunters the world classifies as a national-level hunter, then who the fuck are the other 4? And I'm pretty sure Korea doesn't have any of the other 4, right?
He's one of 5 hunters the world likes to classify as a national-level hunter. This is a concept Jinho's dad should have introduced back when he was talking about the guild, since that was the core reason he knew power was the new world order. Mr. Yu didn't just fear S ranks, he feared the level above and their near godlike power. Like, these hunters weren't called national level for nothing. It was a title that indicated their power was equivalent to an entire nation's military. So, it was one of these all-powerful hunters which wanted to speak to the chairman, leading to a cutscene with him. This is Thomas Andre.
This dude looks like
he's the
Captain
guild leader
America.
of the Scavenger Guild.
And I don't mean Captain America as in the comic book one. I mean, like, if there was an actual Captain of America, it's this guy. Wait,
this
the Scavenger
is
Guild.
Thomas Andre, and he's the guild leader of the Scavenger Guild. The one from America that Hwang Dong-soo is part of.
Oh.
The meeting was brief yet powerful, since when a hunter like him requests something, it was definitely in your best interest to oblige. So, first he would ask where Sung Jin-woo was. Chairman Go had no idea, so the best he could do was answer honestly and hope Thomas believed him. I mean,
he was asking about Sung Jin-woo?
It's not like people often lied to him anyway, so Thomas had no problem accepting Chairman Go's answer. His next question was more of a demand, since he wanted to ensure Hwang Dong-soo couldn't return here. It's likely he was familiar with Hwang's personal beef and for whatever reason wanted the association to keep Hwang away from it. So, since that was an issue Woo already took care of, that was it for what Thomas wanted. The meeting was done and Thomas would leave now. Chairman Go couldn't help but be a bit disappointed, since what he thought was a potential avenue for his country's salvation instead turned out to be nothing more than a meeting which could have been an email. That said, if Korea could somehow put together the right amount of cash to hire him, well, that was a completely different story.
Could this guy literally just one-shot the island? Is he that strong? How fucking strong is this guy? At the moment, we've just seen Sung Jin-woo walk through pretty much everybody, and just get stronger and fucking stronger doing it. So I'm kind of like, weirdly excited about the concept of someone that he can't walk through, you know? Even though I love him, it'll be interesting to see when he hits a wall.
In the meantime, Japan
if
would
he
be
ever
having
does.
a crisis meeting of their own, since for them, a remote village had just been wiped off the map.
Oh?
This brought the Japanese government together with Japan's own hunter association, leading to a conversation where a plan had to be made. You see, with the Prime Minister wanting the problem solved as fast as possible, it wasn't an exaggeration to say most people's jobs here depended on the results of this meeting.
Wait, did they get an island? One of their islands by the ants? Or is this not ant related?
No one really had a plan yet, but the association president did see an opportunity. Since Jeju Island was a piece of land South Korea couldn't defend on their own, he believed it fair to question their ownership of it. It was a controversial statement that got everyone in the room talking. No one would dare to assume what it was Matsumoto was implying though, so to make his words as clear as possible, he just came right out and said it. Japan would step in to secure Jeju Island, and in doing so they'd also take Jeju Island for themselves. It was once that was said that all on the association side would be completely silent, but for the members of government, well, let's just say they were riled up. I mean, not only was the Prime Minister awaiting an appropriate solution, but so was the entire country too. So, to come out and say they were gonna annex another country's island right after this incident, well, that just didn't seem like the best solution. Now, obviously Matsumoto...
I can imagine this would probably go down badly, you know, but then maybe it wouldn't go down as badly as we think. You know, like, they've been living in fear, there's this island of monsters off the coast, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then they come along and go, well, they haven't been able to defend it, so we're going to take it and look after them. You could get a 50-50 response. I mean, in the past, I would say everyone would be outraged at it. But with the state of the world these days, I don't know, man. Yet again, this is an anime.
Moto wasn't implying they do so by force, but what he was saying was they coerced them using this crisis. If his plan went exactly as he intended, then by the end, Korea would be ready to hand over Jeju Island willingly. Still, the idea seemed absolutely ridiculous, but for Matsumoto, he was incredibly serious.
I wonder what
Even the Vice
his
Prime
plan
Minister,
is,
who was currently in the room with them, couldn't fathom how such a feat would even be possible. That's not to say he wasn't interested though, since he was actually quite curious to hear more about it.
I'm curious as well, bro.
When it came down to it, Matsumoto knew South Korea wasn't in a position to say no to help. The world had all but accepted its unofficial stance they'd given up, so if another country came in offering help, there wasn't a chance any sane person would deny it. I mean, Jeju Island was 2% of their overall landmass after all. It was quite a hefty amount to just write off like that.
It is? So it's a huge-ass island then. When you actually think about it, the island is a write-off now. Like 3 years, like how long has the dungeon break happened? Because 3 years ago we know that they did a raid. We don't know what raid that was. At least I don't remember. And they haven't had any use of a Jeju Island for this entire time. So it's not like it's like an island that has of significant financial value to the country or the economic system currently now, right? Maybe it did in the past, but right now as it stands, it is an unusable, uninhabitable fucking just landmass that they don't get anything from other than terror. So you know what I mean? Like, siding over something you don't use anymore. It'd be like having like a derelict house that you still own and have no intention of ever doing anything with, you know, just giving it to someone doesn't really change anything, you know, even if there is a value to it, but it's unused. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm explaining it right though.
The thing is, help probably wasn't enough to get South Korea to hand over the island. Even if it was, for Japan the island definitely wasn't enough as compensation.
I will say this stuff really interests me. The whole like world of hunters and not just Korea and Japan massively interests me, you know, to see like other countries and their hunters, you know, Russia, China, America, like all these other big countries and what kind of hunters they do, what kind of situations they're going through and all that sort of stuff. It sounds really cool. Like it does sound very, very cool.
You see, when it came to putting
I hope we
the
get to
life
hear
of an
more about the
S-rank
world
at risk,
politics.
an island like Jeju paled greatly in comparison. So, when asked what else was to be gained in return, well, let's just say Matsumoto had something a lot more foul in mind. The only reason no one realized it yet was because they were so focused on the idea of Japan actually helping Korea that not once did they think this wasn't their intention.
It's definitely sex-related.
Matsumoto never said it was, and he had actually made
You can tell this guy's an evil guy. Just look at his mustache and beard. That is an evil mustache and beard.
a point to make clear he was only suggesting it. It was then that Matsumoto's true intent would come to light, revealing a plot that would effectively destroy South Korea. Now, I don't mean that entirely literally, but if Matsumoto's plan went the way he intended, Korea's position in the world would drop dramatically.
Okay, so Skip to 11:19. All right, we're going to skip to 11:19. We don't want any spoilers. All right, 11:19, done. All right, we're going to skip there. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if there's spoilers, if they're, like, whatever. I don't know. But I don't want any spoilers to the anime. I'm worried about having any kind of spoilers, so I'm going to skip to 11:19, and we're going to go on from there. Just to be safe. If you're angry with that, tough. I don't want the anime spoiled for me, and I don't know what's in those scenes.
Goto's motivations were a little different, but that's a topic we'll cover in a little bit. For now, Goto and Matsumoto had just arrived at the airport, and Goto was sensing someone incredibly powerful. As a hunter capable of standing on equal footing with China's strongest, Goto knew this was a presence South Korea wasn't capable of producing. That's when an association member would reveal it was Thomas Andre, leading Matsumoto to think he might interfere with their business. For a bit more information on Goto himself, he was the leader of the Blade Guild, the largest...
Okay. I thought it was Sung Jin Woo. I think this whole... maybe I've put Sung Jin Woo on too high of a pedestal. Because this whole time I've been like Sung Jin Woo, the man, the GOAT, the myth, the legend, you know? But maybe right now he's like very strong in Korea's standard, but in the world standard, he's just now slowly competing with the big boys of the world, you know? Maybe I like, or not even compete. Maybe he's somewhere in the middle. Maybe the big boys of the world are here, Sung Jin Woo here, and like Korea here. You know, I don't really know, but I'm kind of gleaning some ideas from what's going on here.
Bit more information on Goto himself. He was the leader of the Blade Guild, the largest and most powerful guild in Japan since...
Also, I'm excited to meet other hunters of other countries, like the one that just flashed up with China.
Like Korea, there was no competition in Japan.
Wait, what did you say?
Powerful guild in Japan since...
Most powerful guild
Korea,
in Japan, okay.
There was no competition in Japan. Where Korea had their top 5 always competing against each other, in Japan it was just the Blade Guild at the top. They alone possessed 11 out of the 21 S-rank hunters in the entire country. Now, the joint meeting had government officials present as well, so when Matsumoto offered to so generously create a united front, the ministers of Korea were all too eager to accept the offer. They initially thought Japan was going to demand reparations, so for them to do the opposite, well, that was almost too good to be true.
Yes.
Only Chairman Go remained skeptical of this all too timely offer. He at least wanted to know what their plan was first. Matsumoto would then reveal the plan as mentioned in the anime, exposing a harsh truth that made their offer all the more unbelievable. You see, since Japan knew the ants had exited the tunnels only 3 times before, that indicated they had been spying on them. Not only that, but they were watching closely yet did nothing to help them. That being the case, in a way the information they gained was at the expense of all the dead hunters from Korea. It was a notion Chairman Go couldn't help but be upset about. This led him to unleash a bit of his magical energy, enough to get Goto to react with his own. It was only fair that Japan respond in kind to whatever aggression Korea initiate.
This is something that the anime has only like glossed over, but we've sort of like got the idea anyway, and that is that the hunters can hide their presence, like their strength, and I wonder if like it's kind of like free reign, you know? I wonder if like people can like suppress it and hide it better than other people, you know? Like, could a really powerful hunter completely suppress it like entirely? Or can they all not suppress it, like where they hide their rank, you know? Like, do they all know like when there's an S rank, but just not how strong that S rank is? Is that how it works? Like say I'm an S rank right now, and I'm suppressing my fucking energy. Would they look at me and go, he's an S rank, but I don't know how strong he is? Or would they look at me and go, bro's an E rank? You know what I mean? Is there a way of like properly fucking suppressing it?
Even so, Mr. Go knew
can others do it better than others?
Personal feelings get in the way of solving the biggest problem his country has ever faced before. As much as he didn't like to admit it, he knew Japan's help was necessary if they were going to even attempt a raid. So, the question wasn't whether to accept the help or not. It was instead, could Korea's 6 viable S ranks actually kill the Ant Queen? Perhaps if Sung was there they could, but if he wasn't, then the mission would become a whole lot riskier. At the very least, the plan to get them there seemed solid. Since it has been proven the ants leave the tunnels when they sense a powerful presence, Goto's multi-directional attack on the coast should leave the queen minimally guarded. It's from—
You know what I didn't even think about? Let's say Jin Woo does go to the island. Because at the moment, has it been confirmed? Is he going? Did he say he was going? He's there in the training things, right? So we can presume maybe he's going. If Jin Woo's on the island, isn't the whole point that the Japanese S ranks are supposed to lure them with their power? That's the whole point, which is suspicious to begin with, right? They're literally saying, we're going to help and we'll be the sacrificial lambs. It sounds like, okay. So let's say Japanese S-rank hunters over here. Ants, we want to eat this power, right? But then Mr. Jin Woo's over here. Imagine in a world Jin Woo's power matches or surpasses all of them, and then he's with these S-ranks, and then the ants are like, actually, we'll go over here, and then the whole plan just fucks up anyway.
From there, the Korean team will...
Unless that could be their plan to begin with. Maybe there's a way, maybe they're going to like somehow make it that the ants don't go for them.
The coast should leave the queen minimally guarded. It's from there the Korean team will helicopter in,
That could be their plan.
The tunnel, kill the queen, then helicopter out. They didn't need to kill every ant along the way, they just needed to kill the queen herself. So, while Mr. Go wasn't sure they'd succeed, what he did know was that the ants needed to be taken care of before they evolved even more. If that meant resorting to borrowing another country's strength, then that was a price he was willing to accept. The only thing Japan asked for in return was an even split of the magic crystals.
I do find it bizarre that none of the other countries want to help and Korea is open to the help. Like, you have countries like America that have got what, this Thomas Andre guy or whatever, and 4 other like national hunters, whatever they're called. So like, as you'd think as like a world, if we, like, as humanity knew there was an island for these fucking monsters, we would want it wiped out, you know? But they're just quite happy just leaving it there for all this time.
It was a seemingly small asking price considering the value Korea was getting in return. Now, in the manhwa, this would be where Goto would reveal his true intentions, highlighting a whole new motivation apart from the ones we mentioned earlier. This one was a bit more personal, since remember how I said he was as strong as Liu? Well, Liu was national level and Goto wasn't. Why, might you ask, would someone who was equally as strong not carry the same credentials? Well, that's because Goto didn't have the qualifications to earn one. He didn't—
So he could be considered a national level hunter. That's what they just said, right? So if there's... So, alright, that raises 2 questions. First question, if he is considered a national level hunter, then why isn't he one, right? We're going to find out now. The second question is... Are there any others, or is it just him? If he's considered strength-wise national level, but isn't, then does that imply that there's more hunters out there that are national level and aren't? Because we've just been told there's 5. There could be like 20 with that information. We don't actually know. So now we know there's at least 6. So if that's the case, and one of them is the Chinese hunter they just mentioned, then I want to know what kind of level of strength these guys are. Are they all on the same level, or are they all on different kinds of level? So there's 6 of them in total, including this guy, and this guy for some reason isn't considered a national level hunter.
Well, that's because Goto didn't have the qualifications to earn one.
So we know Japan, China, and America all have one, but Japan's one isn't official.
So it was once he cleared Jeju to have a completed S-rank gate under his belt.
So to be a national level hunter, you have to have an S-rank gate under your belt. What, as an individual? As in you have to be able to solo S-rank gates, or you can go in with a team.
So, it was once he cleared Jeju Island that would finally qualify him as a national level hunter. The 6th in the world to ever be one. Or at least he hoped anyway. This would be more than enough compensation for Japan, since their status in the world would increase dramatically. Of course, Goto knew this wasn't the most righteous way of doing things, but from his perspective, he wasn't really asking for a lot.
It's a win-win, to be honest.
What he was offering was by no means unfair to South Korea, and realistically, it was the only way to achieve what he wanted.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Now, in the novel, Mr. Go couldn't help but question their intentions more, but that only led the officials beside him to effectively scold him. Everyone aside from him wanted to seal the deal as fast as possible. That being the case, in the end, the proposal was approved unanimously. It was after that Matsumoto would commend Goto for his help, because the only reason he could talk to the chairman the way he did was because he knew he was safe with Goto next to him. Together they had effectively achieved the first step towards something huge, a new empire that Matsumoto could become the emperor of. As for why someone as strong as Goto accepted this man as his superior, it was all because following his ambitions would lead himself to a place of greater power as well. And with that out,
kind of like Jin Woo's mentality, right? I imagine a lot of the hunters that are like really strong have this similar sort of mentality, you know? They all desire more power. And obviously this guy is no different to Jin Woo in that hunger and journey for power.
His ambitions would lead himself to a place of greater power as well. And with that outcome all but confirmed, the only wildcard was the new S rank for whom they had zero information on. They knew this could potentially deviate their plan, but they didn't think a single person could change things too much.
I will say, Solo Leveling, the more I watch it, the more I learn about it, feels so much fucking deeper than what's been on the surface. I also am getting more and more worried. But I maybe like those worries are just like complete crap, because like as an anime only viewer, season 1 and season 2 so far have been amazing. Like I've enjoyed the crap out of them. They're fantastic. They're wonderful. But when I do these extra content videos, I realize just how much more detailed and intricate and heavy and like deep the story actually is around this world, and the ideas of the future with the different nations and the politics behind it, and the raising hunters and all of them on his different status, and it's so much bigger, and then the system and everything like that, it's so much bigger than just what we're seeing on the surface. So I do hope that we do lean a little bit into that in the future seasons, because it feels like they're setting up a really cool like future stories and future arcs, and I hope we get them.
I mean, the odds of him being someone who could was about 1 in a billion. So, with that being their only concern, both could rest easy knowing things were fine. So that's Japan's plan in its...
What do they say? 1 in a billion?
But they didn't think a single person could change things too much. I mean, the odds of him being someone who could was about 1 in a billion. So, with that being their only concern, both could rest easy knowing things were fine. So that's Japan's plan in its entirety. It's tough to say what route the anime plans on following, but I hope this extra bit of information makes the Jeju raid more entertaining for you. At the very least, now you know there's more to it than just the main conflict itself. But anyway, if you liked the video, then leave a like, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. If you want to support the channel beyond that, feel free to check out the new Solo Leveling merch down below.
You absolute legend.
Until
thank you for the amazing video. You are absolutely wonderful. Link to AniNews' channel is, of course, in the description. Go check out his merch as well. So. Jeju Island. Ah, man. Where the bloody hell is the story going to even go from here? So, Jin Woo currently is an S rank himself. He has his new wyvern, Cabell? What's his wyvern's name? Which I am presuming is an S rank, but it hasn't been confirmed. But you would guess so based on when he obtained it, right? So let's say hypothetically that is an S rank, and that would mean he has Egress, Tusk, and the wyvern, Cabell, I think that was his name, all S ranks in his arsenal, making him a 4-man S rank fucking guild, right? Which hypothetically would already make him stronger than a lot of the ones in Korea. At that point, you know, or at least able to compete. But then he also has all of his knights, he has his orcs, he's got tons of forces as well. He then also has the bear and tank, who aren't S rank, but are A rank and are leveling up. So let's say we get to a point where both of them become S ranks. Let's say the wyvern is an S rank. That would mean that Jin Woo would have 6 S ranks in his force. So at that point, it could be very tough. And there could be a future where he has 11, like Japan. At this point, it seems like the trick is the name of the anime, Solo Leveling. You can see why Jin Woo seems so fucking obsessed with the idea of leveling up. Although now his mother's back, that could throw a massive wrench in the entire system, because he almost has lost that desire a little bit. Whereas in before, he had this goal in mind, he wanted to level up to get this goal. Now, he's completed it. He's completed the game. He doesn't really have a desire to play. The thing that I find curious as well is, for some reason, it seems like Jin Woo is a question mark on whether or not he's going to be on Jeju Island. But I thought it was mandatory. I thought all S ranks had to take, like, they had no choice. I thought it was like a mandatory calling. But but the other guy retired, right? The one in the bar. Because I was just about to say, if that's the case, then shouldn't the guy in the bar be going? He seems to be allowed an option. But he's like, he might not be going. But is that because he's retired? And if you're retired, you don't have to? Is that why? Because I can't imagine Chairman Go's going either, right? And again, that's probably because he's retired. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I thought it was mandatory. So I don't know why there's a debate about Jin Woo going if it's mandatory that you have to go. But unless I've misunderstood there. Either way, a lot of interesting information, especially around Japan and the plan here. It did feel like the plan was suspicious. I mentioned it in my reaction because it was bizarre that Japan were offering to help and literally saying, we will go and be the bait. You kill the queen, all good. It was like very suspicious, you know? Why would you volunteer all of your hunters to just be the bait, especially when your hunters seem to be angry about it? Why would you give yourself purposely the more dangerous job? Now, you'd either do it because you know you can handle it, like maybe you're like, we can handle it more than they can, but they still need to go after the queen, and there's no telling that they can even kill the queen. Like, we saw 2S ranks take on one ant before, and like in episode 1, they struggled with that. So, you know what I mean? Curious. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. You'll catch me reacting to episodes 9 cut content in 2 days, and of course, solo leveling reactions drop on the weekend. Have an awesome freaking day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.